Every Tuesday night feels like Christmas Eve. Living between Wednesdays.
What's up, folks? I'm your host, Konrad, on Wednesday Night Reviews. And today, or tonight in the case of our guests, we are joined by Aaron Thompson. Aaron, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. And yes, it is. It is tonight.
Yes. So for the folks tuning in, whether it is now or between now and the end of the campaign, Aaron, you're from England.
I am indeed. I am. It may sound to people who are familiar with the accent, I may sound southern, but I'm not. I'm a chameleon. I will pick up an accent in a couple of weeks. So don't let it fool you. Not at all.
That's super cool. And yeah, obviously, Aaron, we're here to talk about your comic, which is live on Kickstarter now, The Muck, which people can follow the wording on the screen below. Google that, go to Kickstarter, search that. They'll find your book, be able to go back it now, check it out, all the good things. But first and foremost, for the folks who've maybe never seen your face or never heard your name, who is Aaron Thompson?
Aaron Thompson is a being that spawned just over 25 years ago. No, seriously, I'm just a massive nerd who loves to create things. That is the big of it all. I'm currently a writer. I have been an artist. I'm also a 3D artist in trade. I studied film and game design and a whole smattering of things that feeds into my nerddom. Really, that's the gist of it all for me. I think
That is
nerd.
Yeah, that's so cool. All the questions. I guess when it comes to all of that stuff, would you say that you favor a particular medium? I mean, obviously comics, we're going to talk about your comic, but whether it's film, games, writing, prose, what sort of lends itself best to you, do you think?
Really, I started my journey as an artist. Pretty specifically, I wanted to do concept art, or for anything, games or film, but I was leaning towards games. So a lot of my life has been around games, mostly. I think that's probably where most of my life is, but I think when it comes to each of them, I share my love between my children evenly, and I can't pick a favorite. Definitely. Yeah, I'll have my moments where I'll just dip into one and dip into another, and in and out, but they're always there. They never leave.
I dig it, and yes, that is the eternal struggle of us nerds. There's always cool stuff coming out just about everywhere. Whether it's currently Baldur's Gate, whether you're watching Ahsoka, whether you're, I don't know, checking out Brandon Sanderson's newest books.
Mm-hmm.
It's all out there, and unfortunately, it's all very good.
It's difficult. It's very difficult. I mean, it's not like I'd want to avoid it, but it's always there. Something's always there.
Exactly. Now, talking about good things coming out, we've got The Muck, which is your new book on Kickstarter now. So, Aaron, for the folks out there, give them an idea of what The Muck is, and I'll bring up the front page of the campaign.
Sure thing. So, The Muck, it is a psychological thriller set in I like to say it's a fantasy landscape with a little bit of rustic sci-fi elements in there at the same time. But the big thing about it, it's an entry to a world. That is the idea. So The Muck it's a single 20-page, and to get your teeth into this world that I'm trying to bring to everybody, really, and which we'll explore in the future. And that's my hope. That is my absolute hope for this.
I dig it, and yeah, like the you were kind enough to send over quite a bit my way, so I could check out a number of pages, some of the cool covers that have come out. And yeah, it's cool. It has a really interesting feel to it. Like, I find there's an odd mix of fantasy and sci-fi, almost steampunk. Maybe that's why it's kind of landing in between for me. But yeah, the main scene I've seen where we've got the two protagonists sort of, well, sifting through the muck. Yeah, I don't know. It feels it scratches that itch of exploration, adventure, but also that sort of post-apocalyptic bleakness. And it's a nice little mix mash of things that have sort of existed. You mentioned more. So just to be clear, so the muck that's out now, or not out now, I guess the campaign is now out, that people can go back, and again, the words are right up there, the muck by Aaron Thompson. Is it meant to be a functional one-shot, or is it going to have a massive cliffhanger where you can branch out and go explore?
So it's not necessarily a cliffhanger, and I don't want to give anything away, but the big idea is that the book gets people questioning from the get-go. That's the one thing I wanted to do, is make sure that people leave with questions and want to know more. So in the write-up that you'll see on the Kickstarter, we mentioned that it's in the land of Aradia, and they come from the city of Domlin. And you might be like, well, there's the city in the background. When do we see that? Well, you'll have to see. That's the whole idea. And you'll have so many questions. And there'll be a bit of a write-up at the start, for sure, to get you into it. But the idea is to set this up, to have all these questions. So if someone says, well, what about, is all of the land like this outside? I can explore that. I can take people to these different areas. And I do this a lot, but I dive in head first with everything, quite literally the ideas of everything. So when it comes to the muck, and people will be surprised to hear this, I already have ideas where it's like, well, I want to branch it out. I want other people to tell stories in this place. I also want tabletop games, role-playing games. I come from film and games, so I want to explore into those as well. I'd love to make little animations or big animations, or go wild, really go wild. But that's just me diving head first. And I will say that as long as people love it, I'm happy. As long as they like it, I'm happy.
That's beautiful. And you know what? Like, I'm gonna throw this up here again because I love the designs and the setup for the world that you've given us in this. One thing I was really curious about is, given all the different worlds I'm sure that you've explored through games, movies, comics, fiction, everything else that's out there, especially as a self-proclaimed giant nerd, which I love when people own it. Where did sort of the concept for their suits come from? Because they look like, my brain goes to like a bit of Fallout, a bit of Mega Man, because maybe I've just been playing that too much lately. But yeah, like, where'd that sort of suit come from in your brain?
So everyone seems to say BioShock.
Okay, yeah.
However, that's not what I say. No, the suits actually, it's a bit of a local thing. I was trying to think of a design for these characters, and I wanted something a bit more rustic in kind of their design. And one thing about my local area is it has this famous figure of history who was a deep-sea diver. Well, not deep-sea diver, but he was a diver, an old Victorian diver. So, and the diver's helmet is everywhere around here. So it's always been in my mind, and I do love the idea of it. So initially it comes from that. But then I thought, this land is, it's irradiated. They've got to be wearing something. And I was looking into radiation suits, and everything modern wasn't giving me the right feel for that diver's helmet. So I thought, all right, well, let's look back again. And I looked at the old leather, like really heavy duty stuff, and I think, and the rest of it, I was like, they need to be protected. And I started thinking of like fantasy blacksmiths and things for the big belt in the middle.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So I wrote all this down and gave it to Emilio, who's the artist on the book, and from the words that I wrote, he knew immediately. He took it and it was perfect. He nailed it. Absolutely
Awesome.
nailed it.
Then you know what? That's a perfect way to start asking this question. On my show, because I do what I do and I get to talk to all sorts of cool creators, I like to ask about what's going on and stuff, and how you meet your team. So you're based in England, obviously, and I have learned that the indie comics community is so vastly international, multicultural. Like, there's just I don't think I've ever really met a team of people who are like next to each other down the street. No. So yeah. So how did you hook up with Emilio? And what about his art sort of clicked for you?
So I was looking for an artist for a long time. I say a long time, quite a few months, and I found a Facebook group. Weirdly, and I put a post out there. I posted on Twitter and everything, and got filled with spam bots and everything else, and that was ruined. So I had to go elsewhere. And I found this group, and I put a post out, and there was so many incredible artists that commented or sent me a message, and there were a few that really stood out, and one of them was Emilio, and he showed me his artwork. And I said, cool, well, if I give you these character designs or these ideas, can we see what we can come up with? And so I gave him the character designs, and he came back with both of them. He did not the main antagonist, but he did come back with those two, and they were perfect, immediately perfect. And they're actually the designs, because I love them so much, they're part of the add-ons that you can get on the Kickstarter, and they're the ones that I post everywhere, because I'm just like, they were perfect. I don't need anything else. they were great. He stood out. He was so quick to get those designs to me as well. I was like, I'm sold. Sold. Easy. And he's great to talk to as well. That's another benefit.
Oh, good. Do you find when you're communicating, is it a lot like you're video chatting like this? Is it texting? Is it?
It's quite literally over Facebook. Everything is over Facebook. And yeah, he'll know what he said it out to me straight away that there is a bit of a language barrier, but he'll understand. I said, cool. That's fine by me. I don't mind. I'll even learn a new language if I have to get this guy. Like, I was so ready. And it just worked perfectly. If I ever have anything that I'm like, we need to make a change, rarely, very rarely, it's pretty easy. Yeah, it's pretty easy. I love it. He makes my life very simple, and it's perfect.
That's fantastic to hear. Like, it's I think maybe comic creators, with writers and artists, there's something about them. I think we're all kind of on the same page a lot of the time. Because I hear that oddly, especially lately. I've heard that a lot when it comes to people just kind of getting the gist, feeling it out, maybe putting a little bit of their own spin on it, but basically nailing it. For the pages that you've provided, and even for those initial sort of probably thumbnails, I would imagine, how detailed are you with what you're giving your artist? And how much of it is just like trust and blind faith that they're going to nail it because of what you've already seen?
So when I write, this must be just because of my background and mostly the film background. Everything I think of, I see it as a shot in my head, so which kind of helps when you're thinking of panels and everything like that. But I did part of my my undergraduate degree, so my bachelor's was in creative writing.
Oh,
And
no
the
way.
only I didn't want. We were given two options to choose our own medium that we wanted to do, and I said, "Can I do a script?" And they said, "If you can put the detail in." And so from there, I just started writing everything to detail. And I don't mind if anyone veers off of it, but in my head, that will help me to visualize it, the artist to draw it, inker if it's needed, colorist, if it's all split apart, and it just makes everyone's life a bit easier. I know some people like to. I always get it mixed up, and I think it's the Marvel method that does the. I'm gonna write the whole book on a page, and you'd go draw it. I get it. Some people like it, but if you can have your whole, especially if it's a new team, if you can have your whole idea out straight away, you can make changes on the fly. You don't have to just hope for the best, hope for the best till the end. And that's a big one for me. I like to make sure that they can visualize it as well, and it seems to have worked. Emilio loves it, so it's yeah. He's never come back with anything I didn't like, so I'll take it.
Yeah, well, for me, it's fascinating to hear that, because I think at this point, whenever I interview someone and they tell me they've usually, and this is getting weird, like I should actually start not graphing, but recording all this data for graphs. Normally, I find for some reason people that end up making comics that either were in design or in some capacity in film or creative writing, which I mean, all makes sense. It lends itself well to the design and the thought process of making a book like this. But yeah, there's something extremely unique about people making film, learning how to storyboard specifically for film, and then being able to go, oh, wait a minute, that's basically just a comic book. And then we end up with these absolutely gorgeous comics that I get to read and have on my wall, and that makes me happy. Do you find that, or rather, when you have someone who, like your artist, so when you send them your work, they give you back their page, their thumbnails, their idea, whatever, it must have happened at least once. When you've had to give feedback, what form did that come in? Was it like a redrawing or a re-sketching on your end to say, hey, this is more what I had in mind, or is it just pure text? Like, what works for you? Also, Steve White. Why, hello, sir.
Hi, Steve. In terms of, so I should be plainly open about this. This is actually my first comic. So this is the first time it's not the first I've written. I've written a couple. They've just never gone anywhere. They just sit in my folder. But this is the first one that I've actually worked with someone else directly, and I wouldn't say pulling the strings, but I've got the direction for it. So with Emilio, again, everyone should learn his name because he's incredible.
Yes.
With Emilio, usually it's just kind of been like, oh, hey, you forgot to have them holding this thing. And he was like, oh, okay. And they just drew it and just did it. I'm sorry to anyone else who has to, do more than what I've had to do, but it is such a nice experience for a first time. I've got to be honest. I can't complain. But really, if I wanted to, I've worked with groups before and in different, industry standpoints. So when it comes to that, if there's any changes, I think the easiest way is communication is key with everything. And if you can, get that point across verbally and in a written way, because sometimes I mess up my words. So if I can write it as well, it's always ideal.
Wonderful. Now we're actually 20 minutes in a little later than I'd normally like to ask this question, but that's okay. It seems
Okay.
to happen a lot to me. When it comes to actually getting the book, currently, obviously, it's a Kickstarter. So again, for the folks out there, punch that into Google, go into Kickstarter, search for that, find the book, back it, have all the good stuff, enjoy this sci-fi, horror, psychological thriller. Get it now. But one thing that I like to ask, as this is your first comic, as some people, this might be their first Kickstarter. They don't know, they don't understand. Maybe they've done it before. That's okay. What I wanted to know is, what is sort of the least expensive option someone can get to get in here and get their basic copy, and then what is sort of some of the higher options that you have when it comes to getting the book?
Sure. Well, you can spend a simple. For me, I don't know what the conversion is. It might come up on your side.
Yeah.
£3 to get the digital copy of the book, which is simple. There you go, easy. That's as simple as it is. That's how we get the digital. So that's our easier option. Recently added, and there's only a few slots. So if people are interested, Emilio has offered to do some commissions as well as getting a copy at the same time. So for me, I'm trying to remember the prices because I had to kind of work it out so it was good for him. I think it was £60 is a head and bust with a copy, which is for his artwork. It's insane.
Yeah.
And then for a full body, it's £100. Don't know the conversion. But you still get a copy of the book, physical copy of the book, plus the commission.
That's insane. Wow. Well, there are currently 4 left for the bust. So if you want a bust commission, £60, 99 Canadian dollars, which is insane.
That's good to know. I didn't know someone had backed it, so news to me.
Yeah. And it looks like there's still the 5 full body commissions left, only £100, $165. And if this is the level of art you're getting, that is extremely inexpensive. And I did want to shout out last night's guest, last night, Adriano. Aaron is the man the Muck needs to get funded. Absolutely. So let's get that happening. Now, wow. So we're looking at a page, a beautiful, fully rendered, fully colored, awesome page. One question I like to ask to help relieve the folks who, like I said, they don't know, maybe it's their first time at Kickstarter. Currently, what state is the book in? Is it half finished? Is it quarter finished? Is it fully finished? And when do you expect, roughly, I appreciate it's hard to gauge, but roughly, when do you expect that the book would be in a completed state?
So the book is currently, I want to say half finished. In terms of I'm at a current pause point where I'm trying to see where the Kickstarter will go, and then we can continue from there.
Okay.
I only say this because I have. So if I give Emilio a page of the script, I will probably either get the draft back within a couple of hours, or the full page by the end of the day. He is insane, so yeah. So in terms of getting the book finished, I mean, if I'm about half done, I could probably realistically a couple of weeks after the end of the end of the Kickstarter, we can get the book finished. Yeah, hopefully.
That's an insane turnaround time.
Yeah.
And like I said, you mentioned a few weeks. You said earlier, I believe the book is 20 pages. You've got, you said about half, so about 10 done. Wild. So yeah, as long as Emilio can keep up the pace, 10 days to have all the line art done, and I imagine your colorists and letterers can go in and do their thing hence a couple of weeks.
Well, Emilio does all the colors, so we're
Oh!
pretty good with that.
Wait, so are you telling me that he fully draws and colors a page in a day?
Yeah,
That man
I've
is a machine.
I know. I think what helps is the time zone difference. So I'll give him it like early morning for me, and he's kind of just going to bed or something. So I then have a full day, and it's with me by the end of the day. So it helps.
It's your. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say Rob, who does the letters. He's quick. I think I got. Well, yeah, I can give him a couple of days, and we get the letters back pretty. He's a machine and a professional, so it's not his first rodeo in the slightest.
Shout out to Rob. That's awesome.
Yeah,
You have a heck of a team set up, my man.
I'm lucky. That's all. I'm putting it down to luck.
No, 100%. You know what? I find unfortunately, a lot of comics is luck. But there's a beauty to that. And there's a saying, luck is, what is it? It's hard work meets opportunity. And clearly, your team is raring to go, ready to rock, put out a wicked book. And again, just to recap for the folks at home, so for a digital copy of this book, it is £3 or $5 Canadian bucks, which is like, actually, it's probably like $3 or maybe $4 US. The physical copy with the basic standard cover by Emilio, £6, $10. I'm gonna say it's like $8 American.
I think that's about right.
Yeah. Or then, in my opinion, just do yourself a favor, pay the £100 or $165 Canadian, get a full body commission of your favorite character and the book, because that's the best price you're probably going to see for a full body commission. Period. Do it now. Again, if you're watching now or after the fact, while the campaign is active, and it ends, by the way, Aaron, it ends on the 29th or 30th.
So I was confused about this. I thought it was the 30th, and then I found out today it's the 1st of October. So they gave me an extra day. I don't know.
I'll take it.
I'll take it too. It says 7:30 British Standard Time on Sunday the 1st.
Okay. Well, you heard it here, folks. So you have until 7:30 British Standard Time, Sunday, October 1st, which would be, oh god, that's going to be like, what, 2:30 or 1:30 Eastern Standard Time here in Ontario, Toronto, Canada. So, the words on screen, The Muck by Aaron Thompson. Go grab it, enjoy, and get that bust. Another alum has popped in. Caleb York kindly says the art and story looks sick. Can't wait to check it out. I love it. Caleb, definitely, it's up your alley. I am fascinated by this panel myself. I mean, it's all great, but I don't know. Something about that is just luminous, or not luminous, ominous. It's looming, and I dig it.
Caleb, if it sells it to you more, I'm from a town called York. So, yeah. I'll try. I'll do anything. I'll try.
I love it. Now, when it comes to the comic itself, Aaron, we sort of talked about your history and how your education, how you got into making comics. What sort of inspired the Muck directly? Like, what was the thing that made you want to write about this nastiness?
So, he's really young.
Thank you, Caleb.
Sure, I'll do it. I said I'll do it. Yeah, when it comes to the book, so I should. It's a bit of a story, but I got accepted to my first convention earlier in the year to exhibit, and at that time I was going in as an inker, so I was going to take some of my my ink pieces that I'd done, and hopefully have something out by that point. And then the roll into the year, and unfortunately I started having issues with my hand, my dominant hand, and I currently can't hold a pen for more than a few minutes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It is what it is. What it did, it pushed me to move to another direction, and I already did writing previously, so I just thought we'll pivot. We'll move into we'll try and get a book out for the convention, and now the time was ticking. And so I looked, and I had some notes on my phone of some stories, and I had one that was a psychological thriller with some spoilers in the notes, and and then a fantasy dystopian set in a hierarching society and based around two characters who are definitely on that lower rung that are making ends meet. And so I thought, let's put them together. Let's see what we can get from this. We didn't have an antagonist yet. I was kind of hoping to see where that went when I started fleshing it out.
Okay.
But then it very quickly came to me, and I don't want to say anything because it might be a bit of a spoiler.
Yeah, spoilers. No, don't be doing that to yourself. They can get the book and check it out.
Yeah. But we got this creature, and I said this creature definitely doesn't come from the other inspirations. But when I was trying to think of how it should look, and I found an old card that I had in like a collection of stuff, and it was an old Scooby-Doo card that was like the old school artwork, and it was the tar monster.
Oh, okay.
And in my head I thought, what if we expanded this to the place itself? I took the thought of the tar monster, what it looks like, brought it into the book, and then expanded it into the story and how it works. And again, I'm really skirting around those plot points, but yeah, I think people would be quite interested with it, with how it turned out.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
it was a silly little card that really just came out of nowhere.
I dig it, and that's such an interesting spot to get inspiration from. Like, I find with a lot of people who are writers and are on the creative end, I hear a lot of tales of like, oh, I saw this random thing, or I had this thing written down from 10 years ago and I just saw it. It was just popped in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always cool to get to hear from the creators themselves, like what pieces mesh, what random things had to happen, and then everything just kind of lines up, and boom, the story presents itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It was a real happenstance that they just kind of came together when they did. I could have sat, and I was already writing a giant, I think it's currently looking at being about 150 pages or something. I was writing this giant graphic novel. I thought, I don't think I've got enough time to get that one made. So what have we got? And this is, oops, sorry, hit my microphone. But it's what we've got. It's what we've got. I love it. I love it.
Absolutely. And Christy Shin comes in and says, yo, Aaron, sorry, I was seeing that and went, what? Yeah, here, let me bring that back up. And thank you, Christy. Yeah, I can't get over the art. The atmosphere of the area that you've made for these characters is awesome. Yeah, I don't know. Visually, it just stands out, Aaron. It's a great looking book.
Thank you. That's all Amelia. He took my words and my jumbled paragraphs, and he made it work. And that's what he did. No, seriously, it has taken a lot of, because I always think about the shot. I have to try and think about how the world will work, and it does take a lot of thinking. because I don't just think of, oh, this is what the issue is going to hold. It's like, yeah, but where can we go with that? Where does that go? So as I said, I'm thinking way ahead with these things, and I have to think about how it'll work in the future without retconning myself. So, yeah.
That is an interesting struggle that as I am starting to dabble with writing myself, it's running into your own lore is interesting. So I hope whatever way you're managing that it works out well for you. Because I don't know, I want to see this succeed. I think you've got so much potential, especially given this is your first comic and it looks so good. Now, when it comes to you, Aaron, because we covered a lot about the comic, what it's about, how people can enjoy it. One thing I like to ask is, where can people follow you? Where are you most active online? What kind of stuff do you put out? And where can people follow you?
So I'm going to call it Twitter, and because I don't want to call it X because it's a dumb name.
It also looks very inappropriate on a phone screen when you've just got the logo.
It does. No one knows what that is, really. So I'm on there most of the time, and on Instagram. Those are my two dwellings. I'm under Zaphyn, on a ZAEPHYN. I'm sure you'll be able to find me either way. But it's always Aaron Thompson over the top of it, so you'll see this mug everywhere on those. I currently, it's a lot of posting about the Kickstarter, a lot. But I share my life. I'm not I never hide away from it. I will share just about everything, even if people don't ask me to or want me to.
Just gonna bring that up. Your X, your Twitter, it's the same thing, correct?
Same thing.
I don't follow you. Oh,
my heart is broken. I will weep for 1,000 years. That's fine. It's fine.
And there you are. Awesome.
That's me. That's me.
And there's me.
There's you. I twice.
That's weird. I appreciate what I do. I should be used to that, but it still is weird. Is it weird for you still when you see yourself online through someone else's post?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, the ones that get me when I first started inking, you would tend to try and tag the artist whose pencils you've gone over, with the hope and obviously with permission. And if someone I went in head first, so I started with a lot of Brett Booth, and that was a lot of work. But he likes to retweet, and I didn't know this, and so when you see him retweet something, and I can't be seeing my name on his profile anywhere. That doesn't make sense. But there it was.
That is so cool. I mean, it lets you know you're on the right track. So, congrats. That's super cool.
That or it's a pity thing. I don't know. I'll take either. It's fine.
Very fair. Now, Aaron, often I typically speaking end my interviews with the same two questions. But I want to ask, is there anything else before we hit those that you think the folks out there should know regarding the campaign or anything like that?
Not really. I mean, if you're not into the main covers, we've got some sick variant covers by Scoot Stans, Corey King, and Matthew Nickerson, who incredible guys, great friends. They all came together to do a cover, and it looks phenomenal. And we also have another one by Mary Landro, who is also incredible, and probably listeners and viewers of the show will recognize that person as well, because I know she has been on.
Yes.
Yes. That one I need to update on that picture, but it is in the rewards. It's currently still a mystery on there, but it is in the rewards. There it is. There you go. It's
Mary,
a cool cover.
Yeah, Mary is fantastic, and when you mentioned, like, I'd seen I think I saw a post that Mary had done, or no, it was the emailing something that Mary was doing a cover. I was like, yeah, that's right. It just sounds right. This is her type of world. It's grim. It's dark. It's just enough outside of her comfort zone that I believe she would jump at it.
Yeah.
So kudos. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. I'd messaged her originally for the other book, the big book. And this is ages ago. And then it came to doing this, and I thought, we've still got the communication there. This one? And she said she loved it, so it was a win. It was a win.
I dig it. That is fantastic. Now, Aaron, the fun questions, the questions about you. We're all nerds here, as people can see. So, yeah, one of my favorite questions, because comic book creators are often comic book collectors, toy collectors, memorabilia, paraphernalia, all that stuff, we tend to like to hoard things. One of my questions I love asking is simply, what is the thing in your collection? Maybe not the most expensive, maybe not the most rare, but what's the thing that makes you the most happy when you get to see it, that you get to go, I own that thing?
That's a difficult one, because you can't see them all, but there's about, I think, 7 short boxes just here and here.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. One of them is full of like signed stuff that I just got at conventions or sketch covers. And it's either, I can't pinpoint one. There's a few things. There's one of those. I've got just there is my Batman #1 from Capullo and Snyder. And I managed to get that one signed by Scott last year. Finally, after owning it for 10 years, 12 years, however long it is.
2011, it's been 12 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, finally. I got it slabbed, and it's still like 9.6 or something, so with the signature, so I'm happy. I think that gives me joy because it means I looked after it. I think that's the big one. Otherwise, I've got a sketchbook that I just happened to. I was at a small convention over here, went into a pub, and there were. I stood at the bar, and a guy comes over, and I said, "I recognize you. Why do I recognize you?" And he says, "Hi, my name's Rich. I run Bleeding Cool." And I said, "That's why I recognize you. Hello."
Yeah, that would do it.
And then I turned around and looked at the table he came from, and I said, "Is that Kieran Gillen?" And he said, "Yes." And so I said, "That's cool." And he said, "Do you want to come meet him?" And so I walked over, and it's him, Sarah Gordon, who's now a good friend as well, Ram V, Tom Coker, like, it's a collective.
Yeah.
And I'm stood there with this sketch pad, and I go, "Hello, could I know Kieran's a writer, but I like to ask everyone to do a sketch." My thing. And he was like, "Sure." And then it just went around the table, and he was like, "Do you want to sit down and just talk?" Sure.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So that's probably my like coolest one, because every time I've seen him and Ramvi a couple of times since then, and they've been like, "Can I do a sketch?" So I was like, "Sure." It's cool. It's cool. Just happen chance, real happen chance. And I know I'm name dropping, but I don't care. It's a joy. It is a joy, because I never, from from my standpoint, how I live my life, I would have never expected any of that. So
Mhm.
yeah, there's huge. So those are the ones, I think.
Those are cool.
They're pretty fun.
You won't be able to see it, but I myself on this end, tucked in behind a bookcase, basically it's displayed on my wall. I have a Batman #1.
Nice.
I've got it signed. I'm lucky enough. Scott and Greg were both at Fan Expo Toronto, and I went. I've got it signed, but it's raw, so I don't have it graded. Are you lucky enough that your graded copy has the green label that actually says no, it's gold. It says Signature Series.
Yeah, it's got the gold. Luckily at the it's the same convention I'm at this November.
Ah,
They had the CGC guy there, and so I was just like, sure, yeah, I'll pay the money to go. Take my child. And
yep.
it was a bit daunting when he was cracking it open, though. I was just, because it was slabbed before, and I was just like, don't hurt it.
Yeah, it feels wrong to see that. I've seen other people take their soft books to artists and it's like, ah.
I don't mind, like, if you're careful with it. It was just, there was a bit of a struggle, and I was just like, don't hurt it. Don't hurt it. Yeah. Oh my god. Sorry, I'm gonna just throw another one.
Go for it.
There is,
yeah.
I won't get it off because it'll fall off. That is a picture of Gandalf that is signed by Ian McKellen just underneath, and it says "Greetings from Middle Earth." And he did the rune he draws on Bilbo's door. I was just, I don't know how I forgot about that one, but it's there.
Now, is that just at a convention? You went up to his table and he was just doing his thing?
My dad got it. I have no idea.
Thank you, Dad.
I know he did a bunch of tours around colleges over here and schools, and I think it came from there. But I didn't know that this was happening, and yeah, managed to get that. So that was a cool one.
That is insane. I love it. Wow. Also, yeah. I happen to be a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so that's cool, man. That is so cool. Then yeah, Aaron, I guess my last question for you for tonight or today, today on my side, tonight on your side, will quite simply be, Aaron, currently, what is it that you're reading, whether it's comics, prose, plays, what are you taking in that's scratching your brain the right way?
Ooh, that is a difficult one. Currently, a lot of my time has been discovering other people's Kickstarters, because Kickstarter, as much as I know it, has been relatively new for me as well. I've been just finding so many, and it hurts my bank account. Absolutely does. But yeah, there's been quite a few, and there's the one that I can't read those yet, so they don't count. Currently, I have been reading. It's not as recent. It's ended just a little bit ago, but I'm still catching up a bit. Is the Swamp Thing run by Ramsey and Mike Perkins. Huge Swamp Thing guy. Got him tattooed on my arm.
Oh, nice.
And that is one that I love. It is such a good series. Because it's that same kind of, Ram likes to write to make you question as well, and is so in depth. I love it. Absolutely love it. And then a lot of Spawn currently as well, but I blame Corey who inked one of the covers for that one. That's his fault.
Okay.
He's recently been inking on filling in some inking on Gunslinger, so that's his fault. I'm blaming him.
Works for me. Yeah. That's super cool. I love asking that question because I find that is the best way that I find other stuff I should read and check out. interestingly, my partner is a massive Swamp Thing fan. She loves Alan Moore's run. Some of the more recent, like the new 52 that Snyder, along with Paquette did, loved that. So the fact that you have this tattoo, I will be showing her the video later, and I will go out and get a copy of Ramsey's run on it. I think my local comic shop has a omnibus of it, actually. So
she might recognize the Swamp Thing, actually. It's one of Bernie Wrightson's, so can't see it for now, but she'll know it. She'll probably know it.
Oh, I have no doubt, because it is iconic. That is awesome. Well, Aaron, absolutely, thank you for taking the time to come on the show tonight and tell us all about your awesome Kickstarter for the Muck, which people should go now, back, check it out. Don't be thrown off by the figures. You've raised 2,854 Canadian currently. I'm not sure what that converts to. But yes, go.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah.
To the people out there, go back it, tweet it, reshare it, all the things. And for 160 Canadian, get a full body commission done. Your favorite character.
Yeah. And I should say, it's an absolute pleasure to see people sharing, and I know a lot of people will say a lot, you get it a lot through campaigns, that, a thank you to everyone who has. But I one thing I try to do is I message everyone who backs. Everyone who backs will get a message from me, because if you can take time out of your day to look at my Kickstarter, I will take the time out of mine to message you to thank you, because it means the world to put me to, to let me do what I love doing. So, thank you,
Aaron. That's amazing. I love it. I think it's a great spot to end the interview on. So for the folks out there, like, comment, subscribe, go back to campaign, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Golden age to present, digest to oversize. Never miss new comic day. Yeah, no surprise. So where's my no prize? Check the letter columns. Can't find issue 2. Collector prize.